Hey everyone, and a big shout out to all 3 of my awesome subscribers. I just want y'all to know I see you and I appreciate the love. For everybody else, just go on and hit that big shiny red subscribe button. I see y'all watching the videos. Now, as some of you may know, Disney cast Jamaican entertainer Shaggy as Sebastian the Crab in the live-action remake of The Little Mermaid. Now, I was super excited because growing up, I listened to Shaggy's music all the time, and I was just glad that they finally got an actual Jamaican to play a Jamaican in a show. The fake accents they usually use are mad corny. I'm looking at you, Luke Cage.
Alright, Stokes. Harlem is mine. I'm a birthright, you know.
So I'm thinking finally there will be proper representation of a Jamaican accent on one of these shows. So it finally aired on November the 5th on the ABC channel, and I was so excited. I grew up on these classic Disney movies, so it's always interesting when they are remade just to see what they come up with. I really tuned in to see the part of Sebastian, and Shaggy did not disappoint, although that costume choice was a bit confusing since everyone else clearly represented a sea creature of some kind. But Shaggy's costume was this weird leather jacket and jeans that kind of brought me back to Michael Jackson's Thriller. It didn't really give me any crab vibes, but since I was already familiar with The Little Mermaid, I knew what he was supposed to be. ABC exec Robert Mills commented on the costume after the fact and explained that originally there were claws which would have made it more obvious, but they decided it looked ridiculous. Now, just a couple days before this man is supposed to go live to perform in this big production, he gets a call from Disney execs that they want to meet with him. Back in Jamaica, Shaggy holds a big charity concert called Shaggy and Friends biannually, and the proceeds go to a children's hospital in Kingston, Jamaica called Bustamante Hospital for Children. And this hospital was making claims that they still had not yet received the proceeds from the last concert that was held back in January of 2018. So of course, when this came to the attention of Disney, they needed to know what was going on because that could potentially be a big PR disaster for them. Shaggy was contacted by a local journalist and he talked about getting a call from his publicist about the 100 million JMD that was supposed to be given to the hospital, which is a little over 700,000 US. He says he was called into a meeting to explain the situation, and luckily he was able to set things straight with Disney.
The money has been in the account. We never touch the money, we never move with the money, we never carry it away. The money has been there the whole time. It's earmarked for an ICU. We will be turning it over to the Bustamante Hospital for Children to do this new project with Dr. Kenny Benjamin and the hospital.
It definitely was not a good look for Shaggy just a couple days before he was set to appear in a big Disney production. And Shaggy talked about that and how it possibly affects the brand as well as his business relationships in the future. He also said it was a big distraction that he did not need, especially at a time like this. And he even said that he instructed his team not to even mention the charity concert to him so that he could focus on The Little Mermaid. But of all the times for something like this to come out, I'm glad that he was able to resolve things on his end, but for as long as I have known of Shaggy, he has been big on giving back to his home. I have never heard of any shady dealings regarding this charity concert in the past, and he has done this thing for years. It is a huge production and many artists come together to support the cause and to give back. So why make such a big stink about this specific year, making it seem as if the man stole the money for himself when there has never been a past instance of any discrepancies with this concert? I think whoever put that out was wrong because it causes controversy and there must have been a better way to deal with something like this. Shaggy appeared at a press conference held at the hospital this past Monday to reassure the Jamaican public that the funds have always been there, just that they had not been sent off to the hospital because that was not the usual agreement. The funds in question are going to be used to put new beds in the intensive care unit of the hospital. Shaggy explained that his Make a Difference Foundation was waiting for the hospital to complete the expansion of the ICU building in order for them to facilitate the new beds. He also clarified that it was not the policy of his foundation to hand over funds directly to the hospital. The usual thing is that they would purchase any new equipment required on the hospital's behalf. This was at the request of sponsors for the charity event, who made it clear to Shaggy that they did not want the government involved in handling the funds. So it was agreed on that his foundation should handle the funds and deal with purchasing anything that the hospital would need to improve the services that they offered. He also explained that money was always left over to ensure that they would be able to stage the next concert. Now that makes a whole lot of sense to me. And with this big stink that was created about the hospital not getting the funds, the chairman of the hospital has recommitted to completing the expansion, and the foundation has also committed to handing over the funds for whatever needs the hospital has. Now, I just never saw a need for this whole drama. Clearly, it was just one big miscommunication after another. But I think whoever is in charge of the hospital or is liaison between the hospital and Shaggy's foundation definitely dropped the ball on this one. I mean, how are you going to argue that you did not receive new beds if you don't even have the space to facilitate new beds in the first place? Who is supposed to be holding them accountable for not meeting their end of the bargain? And at this point, they know how the whole system is set up with Shaggy's foundation being responsible for handling the funds. So why publicly shame him and make it look as if he is a thief, making a big deal about it, which casts a bad light on Shaggy when it's not necessary?
I have to really think about this with my team. I'm going to sit down with just my core team and really figure out how we move forward from this part, because this was disheartening. Something happened to me a little while. Rebecca was asking me why I was in a bad mood coming home. My little 9-year-old daughter come to me and said, "Daddy, I know where you're going to meet now to tell them that you didn't steal the money." That licked my heart. That's my 9-year-old.
If you know anything about Shaggy, he has always been cautious about his public image in the international space. He has said in the past that he even advises other artists to never put themselves in a situation where a company or a brand will refuse to work with you based on past actions or statements. His foundation has always fulfilled their commitments to the hospital, so this whole thing was disappointing and embarrassing. Before the intervention of Shaggy's foundation, that hospital was in bad shape, y'all. And ever since Shaggy's charity intervened, the hospital standards have drastically improved. The kids are finally able to access important treatments and do any testing that is required for diagnostics right away. I think this was a slap in the face to Shaggy and his foundation. But what do you guys think? Would you fault Shaggy for being upset about this whole situation? Do you think the hospital could have handled this better? Did you check out the live action production of The Little Mermaid? And if you did, what did you think of it? Let me know down in the comments. Don't forget to like and share this video and also subscribe to my channel.